So there was a recent Seeking Alpha article that came out titled Palantir, The Political Risk is Real. And not only that, but with Cathie Wood selling off 1.8 million shares of Palantir after its small run-up, I'm gonna get into what this article talked about, if there are really any risks when it comes to Palantir, and what this means for you as an investor. And I think this will be an interesting video because I'll be doing a different take on Palantir than I usually do, as I'm usually quite bullish on them, and admittedly still am. However, I think it's important to also address the risks when it comes to this company. So if you appreciate videos like this, please drop a like at the very least, as it lets me know that you appreciate this kind of content. And with that, let's begin. So even though Palantir is an incredible company that is offering the world a one-of-a-kind product, I still believe that it's important to consider the political risks involved with this stock. Meaning that if you're someone who's investing in Palantir, it's important to know that this is still a company that is heavily involved in government contracts. As while Palantir is an extremely popular stock among retail traders and investors, it's also an extremely controversial one, especially when it comes to politics, ethics, and privacy concerns. So let's talk about the political risks first. Palantir, as a government contractor, is exactly the type of company that is exposed to political risk. A budget cut to one of the government departments that Palantir serves could easily result in the loss of a major contract, or in other words, millions of dollars gone. And damage to Palantir's reputation could also cause some problems, since the company heavily depends on this government patronage, meaning that any kind of political turmoil could cause problems for them. So whether you like it or not, politics and economics are deeply intertwined with Palantir, and if these political risks end up materializing, it could result in real financial costs for Palantir, including things like fines, loss of contracts, or probably the worst thing, delisting. Now, I get it. Delisting is a pretty extreme example, and honestly, I don't think this is likely to happen at all. But if you consider that most of the major United States social media sites are banned in China, you'll understand that these risks are, at the very least, possible, but not something that I'd consider probable. And if we look at China, they're a country with a population of 1.4 billion people, accounting for roughly 17% of the world's population. So, for example, companies like Facebook are potentially missing out on billions of dollars in revenue by being banned there. And this is of course because of Chinese government policies that are preventing them from entering the market. So politics can have a notably measurable negative effect on businesses. And in Palantir's case, there are a few risks to be mindful of. Departments that become politically unpopular are at risk of having their budgets reduced. And if Palantir is doing business with a department that suffers this fate, it may lose a contract. And not long ago, the LA Times actually ran an article proposing cuts to the LA Police Department, citing Palantir as one of the department's problematic ties. Nothing ended up coming of this, but I think it's important to note that what starts off as one complaint can eventually become a policy. And you have to keep in mind, there are also risks coming from foreign governments. Palantir doesn't just do business with the United States government. It also serves a number of foreign governments as well. And listen guys, even though the article talked about how Palantir is exposing themselves to international governments, this would mean that the exposure to political risk is extreme, right? The article then cited an example of how Palantir lost a contract with the UK government because people complained about the lack of transparency in how it won the contracts. And I guess this is the way I see it. Yes, Palantir has a huge portfolio of governments that they serve, but serving allied international governments isn't a bad thing. If anything, I just see it as Palantir taking opportunities to grow their revenue, while in turn, actually diversifying their government portfolio with some international exposure, which I only see as Palantir minimizing their risk with government contracts, instead of having all their eggs in one basket with only United States contracts. However, with that being said, there are also people out there concerned with data privacy, meaning when a company decides to use Palantir's software, does Palantir then collect said company's data and use it for themselves? And the answer is a flat out no. Palantir is only a tool to allow companies to look and analyze their own data. You have to understand, Palantir controls no data, Palantir has no access to their data, and Palantir does not share data across institutions. Palantir is a software company and a software company alone. They provide their clients with a tool to help them analyze their own data. That's it. And look, while government contracts still make up 62% of Palantir's revenue, Palantir is still growing its commercial contracts at an incredibly fast rate, and I think over time, we're definitely going to see more and more commercial sectors utilizing Palantir's software. So bottom line is, there are always going to be risks when investing in any company, and for Palantir, there just happens to be political risks. However, as Palantir signs up more and more commercial businesses as clients, it becomes less and less subject to it, making the political risks proportionally smaller. So yeah, there are political risks with Palantir, and Cathie Wood did sell off nearly 2 million shares. So you might be wondering if I'm changing my investing strategy around Palantir, to which I would say, hell no! Are you f***ing kidding me? In my eyes, the current risks that Palantir is facing, I think, are only going to be small bumps in the road when it comes to where I think this company is going to be trading in 10 years. As for me, I will continue to hold Palantir, and if Palantir decides to dip back into the low $20 range, I will be more than happy to scoop up more shares and hold for the long haul. And that's my opinion anyways, but we'll see what happens. I think currently though, you just have to have a little patience with this one. And that'll be the end of the video. Thanks as always guys, and I'll catch you next time.